Right guys, and welcome back to episode 20 of Destination DMU. In this episode we'll be continuing on with the rebuilding front on this last section to my right and above my head. I'll be welding in the roof that is remaining now the cant rail's complete, and then slowly migrating that way along to put the panel on and some more roofing.
My side of things, I'll be wheeling down what's left of the gutters to do and doing the roof vent domes, and most importantly as well, clean up the glass ready to be fit back into the DMU as we go along.
So yeah, some of that glass will obviously go in off camera, but what I think we'll do is we'll actually take you through how we fit it, what window rubber we use, because there is a hot topic at the moment, which is which window rubber from which company is easier to use and which seals better. So we'll take you through a little bit of that. Obviously I'm standing in the ultimate repair, makes me really happy to say that, because after 2 years and a lot of hours, we're finally here, and then we've only got the back to do, so it's almost never ending this. So I've obviously got to chop out the cant rail, rebuild it, all that fun juicy stuff, got to weld in a few more braces, etc. And then yeah, we can finally get on with fitting this panel. So it should be all exciting stuff. And then obviously we need to protect it from the damper months. So this will probably go maybe blue by the end of this episode, because it's not a great deal of work in the grand scheme of thing. Panel, couple of patches, bang the windows in, put the roof in, seal her up, get her looking nice, smooth her off, and then slap some blue as a holding coat on her. So hope you enjoy, and let's get into ripping her apart for possibly the final time. So first order of the day is to remove what's left of this cant rail. As you can see, it's probably the worst section of corrosion that we've got. Surprisingly enough, this was probably caused by a couple of very small holes. But thankfully, the cant rail has kind of taken the brunt of it, because the top hats, there's like maybe 4 to 10 inches that need to come off on both of these. I cannot speak for the last panel yet. I am still to discover what horrors may lie below, but it actually, we haven't cleaned it out yet, but that last, foot, 2 foot, 18 inches, might actually be able to be salvaged, depending. We'll have a look on the inside. We'll give it a while. We'll actually see whether, because it'll probably come up looking like this down here, if you can see that. But yeah, so this is the last cant rail repair for me. Last time ripping 51412's body side apart, which is a really nice feeling after such a long time. So let's get on with that and make light work of it. So as you just seen, we have ripped out the last bit of 512's cant rail, and what a feeling after 2 years and much pain. So yeah, a little bit of a lowdown. We're keeping this mainly because it actually isn't that bad. There is some mild pitting, but you're always trying to balance up between strength and efficiency, and this is still got it in her. So yeah, we decided to leave that. Pretty much though, anything worse than this, just to be on the safe side, we get rid of anyway, and bang new stuff in. But that would have just been one small pinhole that would have caused that. A little bit of rot here on the very bottom 10 mil of this car line. What we're going to do is probably get the airline in there, blow out all the stuff that's in there, inspect it from the back, and if that doesn't creep up too much, what we'll do is we will just build that back up to where it should have been, which is about 2 mil. But you can tell it isn't that bad, because I've actually been able to save one of the top hats and profile it like so. What we do and what is done basically to keep the body side nice and flat is it's profiled so that this bit of the cant rail meets in nicely and it's all lovely and flat. a little bit of a radius here because obviously this is a pressed angle iron, so there is a radius there. Apart from that, as you can hear, it's hailing it down at the moment, or you might not be able to hear. But we have, this is the top patch that we're doing, taken out. It looked to be repaired about here, but obviously not here. You can tell stark contrast there. But whoever did this repair actually did the right thing and they took the hinge off. So thank you to whoever they were, because it means that now when we come to patch it, we know there's good steel work under here. It was actually a half decent repair for once, a rarity, but nice to see. But we're just taking it out mainly because if you're doing this much, you might as well go the whole hog. It's not gonna cost us any real time to do a bit extra. But yeah, what you're going to see next is rebuilding the cant rail, rebuilding the top hats. I've only got 2 top hats to actually rebuild up to the cant rail, and only 2 car lines. And that is just a really nice feeling because usually I'm dealing like numbers that are like 5 or higher. But only 2, so this will all get done in a day. Rebuild that, then we'll see the panel get trimmed, roof go in up to where that panel is, and probably if this is ready for it, roof going in all the way to the end. Obviously ripping this out, obviously get the patch in before we put the roof in, and yeah, then what you'll see is you will see us refit a panel. A couple of the windows are going in at the moment as I speak. They're going in quite well, even to some of the brand new panels that obviously I had to fabricate the windows, so that's a proof that I was pretty much bang on, which is a nice feeling. It's not every day that you do something, you do it the first time. Admittedly, I've had practice, and it just happens. It just does everything that you want it to do. So yeah, I will take you through some of that because it's not that difficult, but there's a couple of intricacies that we've learned how to do that as efficiently as realistically we can. So yeah, that's you'll see the panel get smashed in, and then yeah, we are going to be painting this last section. So yeah, let's get on with the cant rail, and yeah, it's a nice feeling to be doing the last section of the cant rail on 412 before we go round to deal with the back.
Right guys, so now back onto the welding, now the painting and bits are done. What I'm going to be doing is installing this patch in this rather large gap here from one of the previous repairs that was done in a previous life. So I'll be putting that in and then going forward here, and as you'll see, the top of the panel has now been trimmed off. That is ready to be welded in, so I'll weld all the way up to the end of that panel, which I'll then stop for Johnny. He's going to be doing the framework, and then once all that's complete, it's the last stretch to get the rest of this lovely roof steel in and get her watertight again.
So as you would have just seen, that was the final roof repair going in. They went in really well actually. We've made a couple of modifications to the hardware that we've got. While I was at East Lancs, I spotted a pile of rubbish, and within that rubbish was a little bit of treasure, which was that bit of box section. Mainly due to the fact that it is stiffer than the current setup that we've got, which was kind of a get out of jail kind of card. It worked great, but over time, and obviously with some of these bits of roof needing more force than others and the many cycles of heat, it starts to get a bend in it, and then that bend stays in the roof after we've welded. So I've adjusted this setup, and we've gotten a far better finish with that. So yeah, good upgrade and a good spot at East Lancs. But now what we're going to do is we are going to get into the final rebuild, which is actually really exciting for me because I have seen every millimetre of like all 40 metres that is on this unit, and to come to the final one, it's a really nice feeling. It's very gratifying to be on that final repair. So that's what you're going to see next, just from a slightly different view on the inside, mix it up a little bit. get these car lines in as well, and then we can remove the final acro. I remember when I put the first one of them up and they weren't painted and they weren't rusty, and yeah, 2 years ago. What a 2 years it's been, a lot of hard work. So yeah, very happy to come to the end of that. Also, my apologies for some of the filming of us ripping this out with the camera mount moving around. Often with the deadlines that we set ourselves, you know, scaffold does, you know, get moved around. I am currently in the process of finding a way to alleviate that so that then, you know, the camera mount won't move even though the scaffold's moving around. So my apologies for that, but I am working on a solution to make the videos better for you guys. So yeah, that is what's next. We're gonna, you know, rebuild the final bit, and then we're gonna take you through fitting some windows, because we took you through fitting some windows on the driver's side, but we're currently on the second saloon as I speak. But what you'll probably see is you'll probably see like one of these windows go in this saloon, because there's a couple of intricacies with that, the way in which we do it, and we've also had 3 windows break on us, which, you know, you wouldn't have seen because, you know, things go in like fairly flawlessly when you have seen them go in. But we've had 3 windows break. They're all of the same type and they've all got the same characteristics. So, you know, just kind of we'll unearth a little bit more of the details of that. For any of you that, you know, are lucky enough to own a DMU or are involved in one, a little few things to look out for to minimise that risk. Not every window of the type that we've had 3 break of has broken. So obviously it's all, you know, circumstantial. So yeah, we'll talk you through a little bit of those intricacies and also how we fit the window. There's several stages to doing it, so I'm going to talk you through all of them. So yeah, but for now we're gonna do the final rebuild. It's a good day for DMU restorations here. So yeah, very happy for once, because these things they do, you know, they're very good at wearing you down, but not today. Definitely not today. So yeah, let's crack on with it.
So there we go, the final rebuild. She is finally structurally sound. There are no acros, there are no ratchet straps, there is nothing holding it together but for itself, which is a really odd feeling. You know, like 2 years ago, you'd shut a door and all the rust that was sitting on framework would just rain down. You know, you could hear it in the can rail. You know, all of that's gone. It's, you know, it's silent when you shut the door. Which, by the way, if you do have a DMU and you can hear that, maybe look into that, because that wasn't a good sign for us, and we've heard it in a few other DMUs that we've worked on and, you know, been around, and they're not showing good signs. So just check that, because if there's rust, there's water ingress, you might want to look at it. But yeah, now we're going to bang the pull cord chain in, but you've seen that recently. It's literally just like just over a metre. Then we're going to bang the roof in. You'll see that, but apart from that, it's we've also cut a little bit of bodywork away on that last panel, because we're aiming to just have like a couple of days just slogging on the bodywork, get it all done. This still needs to be anti-corrosive blacked and then bitumen blacked as well on the front. Then the new panel can come on, you know, that will all be shaped, ready to go. I also burnt off a hinge on the middle hinge of this door, to facilitate the bodywork patch going in, as it was, you know, pretty rotten around the hinge. So get rid of that. Once that goes in, there's then a bottom bit of framework on the bottom of this pillar that needs to basically just have all the rusty, non-existent stuff kind of trimmed, put a new bit in, and then obviously attach the hinge back to that new bit, because that is not very good. You can see through the framework, and it, as on top of the fact that that hinge on the bottom looks like it's been replaced at some point, because the wear is odd. A little bit like the hinge for one of the doors we had to remove. It had kind of, where they should be in line, it's moved over and warm, probably because of lack of greasing, if I could, try and put my finger on it. So it should be in line and then turn, but instead it's over because it's worn on one side too much. It's not badly worn, but it looks out of place. So we're going to change that, get that all sorted. We've thankfully got spares. But yeah, so also another thing, grease your hinges. You can never really put so much grease in them, because once the lubrication stops, they start wearing more, and then you get into a situation like that. So, yeah. But yeah, now we're going to get into the roof welding. All this pull cord stuff will be in. It'll all be painted. It'll all look slightly better. And yeah, then we'll probably show you the fitting of the panel, and we'll show you through fitting one of the window rubbers in the windows on this saloon that we're in now. So as you can see, we have bitumened the framework, hence the gloss, and we are now going to fit the final panel in 412. What a day.
So there we go, the final panel of 412 has now been fitted. You may have seen on the time lapse there, we had a little bit of bowage, just because of, you're drilling holes, you're trying to get that placement right. So we now welded around where the hinges were. That went pretty well, to be fair, but with that little bit of bowage, what we did is we used a tool that we use for the roof. We've never actually had to do this before, but I drilled a hole where the window was going to go, and then did the same method of pulling it in, because you can achieve so much more with a ratchet strap and a bar of metal than you can by hand trying to push it in, whatnot. Because as we go along, what happens is Michael will be on the outside, he'll push it in with his feet to try and get it taking that line of the framework, because we want to try and obviously keep the original lines, and obviously trying to get it as close to the framework as possible, because obviously there needs to be welds put on the back, and the less gaps, the quicker, the better. Everything goes a lot nicer, quality, etc. And you get it done quicker. But here we are on this very last panel now, and we've got obviously a patch here that you can see where this hinge has come out. So we'll put the patch in, we will put then the hinge back in, and then I've got to have a little bit of fun with the bottom hinge, due to the framework being non-existent around there. As you can see, in our naive days, we cut out around there because there was a bit of bodywork that wasn't very good, and little did we know that actually that's probably only going to be half the trouble that we're going to have down here. So we're going to just probably keep this line coming up, then go over. After this hinge goes in, we'll burn this hinge out, put a patch in, put that hinge in. But onto the patches. Now we got a very nice donation from Paul E, as he will be known, and he gave us a £5 donation. And to put that into perspective, actually what that can achieve for us, that has basically paid for all the consumables needed to cut this metal out, all of the paint to go on the framework, all of the steel to go in, all of the welding wire to go in, and all of the grinding consumables needed to grind it flush. So very big thank you to him, because every donation does help. And just to put it into perspective, he can do that does this patch and the patch at the top. So we do really appreciate it, as you know, these are money pits. To put it nicely, if you want to see how much of a money pit they are, go to the 104 launch video where I break down some of the costs and some of the most expensive things on that 104 trailer car. Spoiler alert, it's about as much as a fancy saloon. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. We are going to put these patches in, get this last panel shored up, but thank you yet again to that donation. It all does help, we really appreciate it, but let's get on with the video. So what you've seen is these patches go in. Went in fairly uneventfully, you know, all being ground now flat and flush, all tickety-boo. So we also, the hinge that we had to take out, that has now been put back on. We've just put a bit of gloss on the metal. It's clean, made sure it's clean, banged a little bit of gloss. There's now mastic there, so it's highly unlikely the water's ever going to get to it. But in scenarios where we don't have time to go through the entire paint process and prep and all that, we try and make sure that there is at least something. So we, do the only real, impermeable coating, which is the gloss. So that middle hinge is now on, which has enabled me to burn off the bottom hinge. The little patch will be going in there, a little bit of rebuilt framework, and then the hinge is slightly worn. So while we're at this point in time, we will, take that apart, and we will put on the new components necessary, which will probably be new innards. So the new spherical ball that it rotates, that the hinge rotates on, and a new pin, grease nipple, and also probably we'll get a better condition part of the bottom hinge, which is, again, just the bit that's worn. So, while we got it off, we're going to do all that nice stuff. It wasn't necessary this time because it wasn't nearly as worn, but there is going to be very few times when we're going to come along and we're going to find stuff like that, and we're going to have the option, even though it maybe isn't at the red line yet, it's showing signs, and it's going to save us a lot of hassle in the future to not have to take a hinge off, etc., etc. To put new things. Then the holes move as well, whole nightmare. So while we're here, while we put a new framework in, we'll put new components in. The hinge will go into a slightly different position than it was before, but because we put new framework in, a new patch, then we can drill new holes, and it will all fit, instead of going via the old holes and then you change the position basically of the hinge and it doesn't fit. So now that's done, you would have seen also I've cut out the window on this panel. I just need to now fit the window frame, and then I will do my final trimmings. Which is pretty much all I do is I come along with a sanding disc and I just go along the edge and I just pretty much make sure there's a nice lip, because the window rubber, which we'll get into later, the bodywork actually is part of the system that holds in the window. So the window rubber actually clicks in behind the bodywork, and that holds the glass in. So if you don't have that lip, your glass isn't going to be very secure, and that's not a good recipe for DMUs, or at least 117s. So I will fit that and then I'll shape it. Always, for me at least, I always fit it first, because then you don't run into any trouble. If you try and cut it at the final, where it needs to be before you fit it, if for whatever reason there's a slight movement in from where you marked it up to now where you fit it, you don't get into any hot water. So now what you're going to see is final roof repair. Happy days. We've cut out the final window pretty much, but we're going to do that final roof repair. It's about 3 meters left.
it is a really it's a really nice feeling to actually know that now there is going to be no more once that's done. And then hopefully we can get all of this new metal work in pea green as well, get it primed, you know, and start getting ready for the painting process for this last small section. And then we will take you through putting a window in and all those little little finicky bits that we've learned so far, having put in at this current time 1 2/3 of a vehicle, and we've only got this last saloon left to do. So yeah, that's what you're going to see next. Hope you're enjoying. Let's get on with the video.
Right guys, so as you'll see, we are now at the end of the bodywork on this unit. We've completed all metal going in on this side, with just a minimal amount to do on the rear end, which will be something for next year. So as you'll see, it's got patches that have gone in here, patches up the top, getting rid of all those holy nasty colander looking metal. And then also a panel where Johnny is stood, so it's had a lot of new metal work, and Johnny's also contributed a lot with new framework.
Yeah, so yeah, the final rebuild of 412, there's literally one small patch left to do on this side. That'll take like 5 minutes. But as you can see, I've cut out the window, banged that roof in, and yeah, I apologise that I know I've been rattling on all episode about showing you how a window gets fitted, but I'm conscious that we're getting up to 30 minutes on this video, and I don't want to make these videos too long. So that will happen next episode. What will probably happen next episode is we'll get this pea greened, we'll get the window frame fitted, get all of this filled, and then we'll get it painted. And hopefully we can then get on to showing you a little bit of what needs to happen with the corridor, etc., and all of that fun, exciting work. Another new challenge for us, and then we are nearly there. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next very exciting video.